So doing this life allows us to be able to basically write our own story, and we say that to you all the time, don't we? Write your own story. And what we mean by that is that it kind of allows you to be able to map out the life that you want, to be able to mould life within society into something that you want it to be, that brings you everything that you need. A lot of people think that when you do van life, you're kind of checking out a life, but you're not checking out a life. You're just moulding it into something that serves your purpose more than maybe the 9 to 5 does. That being said, we know that it's not that easy for everybody to just basically go ahead and do that sort of thing. We know that's not the case. Sometimes people, for all sorts of reasons, just can't do that. Sometimes people have other commitments, they've got kids, it's financial worries, sometimes they just don't know what to expect, they don't know what's coming in their life, and they feel like they don't know how to make that decision. And so what we're going to do in this vlog is we're basically going to show you from our perspective and tell you why we do it, what we think's good about it, what we think's bad about it, but we're also going to tell you from the perspective of many other people that have written into us and been kind enough to share their views and opinions on van life, whether they're full-time or whether they're part-time. And the really good bit about this and the really exciting bit about this is that we've actually got quite a few well-known YouTubers that have also given us their opinions, so we're going to be sharing that with you as well. So this is basically about the good, the bad and the ugly and everything else in between. So hopefully this is going to give you the chance to be able to decide whether this is the right life for you or not. So we're going to kickstart this with Ben from Nomad Season. Ben's absolutely brilliant. He travels all over. If you haven't seen his channel, you need to head over and watch it. He travels all over interviewing various different people who live this kind of nomadic life and getting their opinions from them. So we thought, what better person to start this with and kick this off than with him, because he's talked to so many people. We've been interviewed by him. So many people have been interviewed by him. So he's talked to so many people and he's got so many different opinions. So Ben basically says his advice for people that are still stuck in the system would be to remember who you truly are, to break free from the control and the projected fears of others, and to create and lead the life that you want by your own design. I talk to many people who live life differently, and it's clear that nomad life is a sacred path. In all my years, I've never experienced such profound bliss and peace. In an increasingly superficial, fear-based and fake society, meeting fellow nomads amplifies a great vibe and creates an immediate sense of belonging that is difficult to explain. Ben goes on to say, for me personally, and I don't often talk about this, it's led to a complete spiritual awakening. Everything about me, the way I live my life, has fundamentally changed. I call my van the light vehicle, simply because it enables me to access more of my full potential within my human experience, and all good things can come from that. Amazing experiences are waiting for you in nomad life, so why wait? Get out there, enjoy the experience, and see you on the road. We definitely agree with that. We've had so many fantastic experiences on the road, and it is kind of like I don't know, there's a spiritual sense to it somehow. There definitely is some kind of spiritual sense there to it. I can remember meeting another guy on the road and he'd broken down and we were driving past and he flagged us down, so we picked him up, took him to where he needed to go. And on this drive, quite a bit of a drive where he needed to get dropped off, we were just chatting away for ages. Never met him before, and we were chatting away for absolutely ages about all sorts of stories about living on the road. And when he left, he gave us like a little crystal, a little quartz crystal for protection on the road. And it's just that sort of thing. Like, you kind of meet people where you've just got this commonality between you. It's like you almost know each other, even though you don't actually know each other. This van has literally gone to rack and ruin with Daisy being in and out of the vets, having a surgery and everything else. And if anybody's wanting to know how she's doing, she is getting there slowly but surely, but we'll show you some updates and some bits of footage of her at the end of the vlog. So the next person that wrote into us is Andrew, and Andrew was one of our viewers, and Andrew says that van life is epic, as Reese would put it, but it's not all crisp, beautiful beaches, crisp white sheets, Michelin star home cooked vegan food, and vans that look like some kind of executive apartment. Sometimes, and very often, it's wet, it's cold, it's muddy, you're eating beans on toast for tea because that's all your budget will allow. It's not all driving on country roads, beautiful, without a car in sight. Sometimes you're stuck in traffic. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if freedom is your currency, then you're going to be rich beyond your wildest dreams. But if you like your creature comforts, then this might not be the life for you. It can be hard work, but for me it's worth it. And this channel shows more of the reality of what van life is actually about. It's not all doom and gloom clickbait, and it's not all perfect either. Do you know what though? I think Andrew's right. I think you learn to understand what you need in a van. You learn to understand what you're actually going to use and what you're not, and to cope with all the trials and tribulations that it brings. But if it brings you what you need, if it brings you that kind of feeling of a more fulfilled life and more freedom and more choice over what you're doing in life, then it's worth those sacrifices, isn't it? And I think we've done our fair share of sacrifices over the years. We don't really want those kind of like having a microwave and a coffee machine and all those sorts of things. I suppose for us, like van life is a little bit about doing without as well, and kind of getting back to nature, getting back to the essentials, I suppose. And so we have kind of done without a lot of stuff over the years. You know, there was a time where I can remember one of our first vans that we actually got, we just basically had like a pull-out bench, and the kids slept on that. I slept on the floor in the back, and Ree slept across the front seats in the front. And we drove all the way over to like Ibiza. We went all around Europe in it. And it didn't matter to us. It didn't matter to us because it gave us something that we'd never had before. It gave us a taste of that kind of like being on the road, freedom to choose where you want to go, freedom to wake up where you want to wake up the next morning. And so that didn't really make much of a difference. And basically, that's exactly what Hannah's sort of said. She's one of our other viewers, is Hannah, and she's wrote into us, and she's basically said that you don't need to invest in the latest high-tech gadgets and equipment before setting out. More often than not, simple solutions provide the greatest value, especially when you're still figuring out what works for you. And Lou, one of our other viewers, said, remember that you'll have your ups and downs, whether you live in a van or whether you live in a house. One of her greatest joys is tinkering around with a van. And she gets great satisfaction from the tiniest of changes. And if it don't work, it doesn't really matter, because it's about trying, it's about giving it a go. Perfection doesn't work. So you just got to enjoy yourself. And I think that's a really good kind of lesson to learn, Navan, is that, or in life in general, you just kind of have to give things a go, and you're going to learn to be good at a lot of things, and you're going to learn that you're not good at a lot of things, you know. And over the years, I think, like I say, we have learnt to do without a lot of stuff, but we've also brought more and more and more things into being in a van, where it feels like a home now. It feels like a cottage on wheels. It's not just a case of having a mattress flung in the back of it and taking off. But we still don't have a permanent fitted gas cooker. We still have a portable camping stove that we use. We still don't have, like, we don't have a diesel heater, which a lot of people have. We don't have a microwave. I certainly don't bring air straighteners with me or anything like that. And so there's a lot of things that we've done without. You know, I can remember us kind of parking up in Scotland, and that was one of our really kind of early vlogs. I think it was one of the first ones that we did on New Year's Eve. And we parked up, and it was thick with snow, and we basically had 4 candles to manage with. And we did that for years and years and years, and we never felt it. And it was never a big thing for us that we didn't have, you know, like proper heating in the van. Obviously, we've got Lenny now, but for a long time we went without that. And now we've got Lenny, we would miss him if he wasn't here. But we did manage without it, and it didn't bother us in the slightest, because part of that kind of mild suffering, if you like, is what kind of made the memories. You know, you don't have like any great stories to tell unless there's been challenges, do you? You know, that's how I feel about it. You kind of have to have these challenges in life in order for it to make a good story, in order for it to be a great memory that you share with people in the future. That being said, we have got some upgrades coming to Romney over the next few weeks, and we're going to be showing you what those are and kind of taking you along as we put those in. It's nothing that's, I suppose, extravagant, but it is a few things that is really going to change the way that we live in Romney, and that's going to make life so much easier for us going forward. So this next one is from Kev, Andrea and Corey the dog, and they basically said, don't forget to talk to people. Don't be afraid to speak to people, especially locals. People are much less wary when they actually know who you are if you're staying in a van, and that is so true. And they also said, make sure that you speak to van dwellers as well, that if people are staying near you in a van, get to know them, because being friendly is the ultimate superpower. And I think that is so true. That is so, so true. There is a lot of kind of misconception of people that stay in a van. I don't know whether it's misunderstanding or whether it's kind of ignorance. I don't know what it is really. But there's an awful lot of kind of people that misinterpret who you are, what threat you might be, and what you might be doing. So just talk to people, just get to know people. It's quite simple. They also said value the little wins in life, such as finding free water tap, discovering new and unusual park-ups, and finding public toilet near a stopover that's actually open. And although it sounds quite pathetic, finding recycle bins so that you can do all your recycling and do the right thing stops you getting the guilt. Living in a van absolutely does give you the appreciation for life. It really does. It makes you appreciate kind of all the things that, I don't know, I suppose we just take for granted, like having running water coming out of the tap, being able to have electricity and just flick a switch and have as much electricity as you possibly want. It makes you consume less, but it makes you appreciate more, definitely. I think just being at one with nature, getting to know yourself as a human being, getting to know your capabilities, your limitations, appreciating even chance encounters with people, like talking to other human beings. You're not rushing around as much. You're not kind of trying to get 20,000 things done at the same time, or at least not most of the time. And I think that's because being in a van, you kind of cut out a lot of the expenses, you cut out a lot of the bigger stuff that you have to do. Cleaning this van, for example, takes me like 20 minutes, half an hour. Being at home in a house, that'd take me hours. And especially like with my health conditions, it's basically impossible. So being able to be in a van has given me the chance to do the things that I enjoy and still have the energy to do it, whilst being able to also use some of my energy to do the things that I need to do. And so I think it's kind of given me specifically, personally, an appreciation for what my body can do, but what it actually needs at the same time. And being fed by nature, being fed by experiences and encounters and learning life's lessons is just so important. This next one comes from Maggie, one of our viewers. She's in her 50s and she's only had a van for 3 years and she travels in it part-time. She said that she was reluctant to do a self-build at first, but boy does she wish she'd have done it in her 20s. They'd never have been home. The freedom and the joy that they get is absolutely awesome. It's basically their home from home, but they get the best of both worlds. They get the outdoors and they get to go home and have the creature comforts as well. She says that they've learnt to live a slower pace in life being in the van. And if they were younger, they'd definitely be doing it full time. The feeling of freedom from the hustle of life and the travel and the scenery and the friendships are absolutely awesome. My advice is to go for it. Do what your heart tells you. You only live once and you won't regret it. Thanks for that, Maggie. And I guess that's it, isn't it, really? I guess that, you know, today's experiences and the things that we do are our future memories, aren't they? You know, these are the things that we're going to look back on, you know, as we get older in life. And, you know, maybe if you've got grandchildren, these are going to be the epic stories and the tales that you're telling your grandkids, you know. And I think that's the thing. If you're thinking that you want more out of life, if you're thinking you want to do something different, then I suppose ask yourself if you're making memories now that are going to be so awesome that you can talk about in years to come. Or are you just kind of trudging through day to day? Everybody's different, aren't they? Everybody wants different things, I guess. And it's true, we all do want different things in life. And Lorraine, one of our other viewers, said that it doesn't really matter if you're living in a cabin in the woods or whether you're living in a van. To wake up to Mother Nature and embrace everything that she has to offer is absolutely priceless. Another thing that Lorraine offered up is an old English word that I've never heard of called coddywomple. And it basically means to kind of head towards an unknown destination, but with purpose. And I just think what an absolutely awesome word. We should all be coddywompling. And I think she raises a great point about that. Like, it doesn't matter if basically you're travelling with a backpack on, whether you're travelling on a train. It doesn't matter whether you're living in a van or whether you're living off-grid in some country home somewhere, whether you're in the UK, whether you're living abroad, it makes no difference. It's about what we're all searching for. It's about that freedom that we're all looking for. It's about that ability to be able to make our own choices in life, to be able to live life on our terms, on our timetable. That's what it's all about. And however you find that, whatever you do to get that, whichever path you choose. It really doesn't make a difference. The key is not van life. For us, this works for us. Right now, who knows what the future holds? But for you, it might do. It might be a van. It might be getting an off-grid home somewhere in Spain or Italy or Bulgaria or wherever. It might be travelling with a backpack on a train and crossing across the entirety of Europe on a train. It might be going in a rickshaw in India. It makes no difference really what it is, does it? What it's about is making sure that you can actually get the freedom that you're looking for. Here's another little thing, look. I've had that for my niece in the back of the van for like the past 6 months. Has it been since Easter? I don't even know how long it's been. It's literally been sat in back of van. I might take that back for Reese to have tonight. I think I'll probably just send her some money. This is the other thing with van life, I have to say, is that sometimes with the best of intentions, you aim to kind of go and drop things off and do things, but Amazon becomes your best friend. Send things to people through Amazon, give them a telephone call, get on a FaceTime or whatever and do it that way, because when you're travelling across the country and you're filming YouTube, just getting round everybody becomes impossible. You know what though, it's not all perfect in van life. It has its challenges, you know, socially, all sorts. Chris and Dion, I hope I've pronounced that right, are long-standing viewers of our channel. And they sent us an email in, and Chris is absolutely epic person. He's got so many stories to tell. And he sort of grew up in the 60s, travelling around from place to place, living on the road, living off the land. And he describes a really kind of difficult time where the people back then classed as hippies, who didn't particularly want to be classed as hippies, were persecuted, you know, by some of the most upstanding people in society. And I think that reminds us of the fact that these difficulties that we face with, whether it's ignorance or discrimination or just a kind of lack of understanding, they've been around for years. It's nothing new. It's been around for years and years and years. And so when we're seeing these parking signs going up and all that type of thing, this sort of stuff has been around forever. And we think that we're battling a new battle. And we're not battling a new battle. We're battling something that's gone on for a really long time. And that's why kind of doing channels like this and people explaining why we do what we do and why you might want to try doing what we do, it just helps to kind of explain who we are, what we do, why we do it, what we get out of it, what our intentions are, and helps to educate people about van life, about travel, about all forms of travel. Chris goes on to draw comparisons that in everyday life you're basically facing the same or similar challenges to what you would do in van life. And so for him, being in van life is not about sacrificing something, it's about a choice, and that we're faced with choices every single day of our lives from the moment that we're born. The advice that Chris wanted to give our viewers is to enjoy the world about you wherever you find yourself. For him, it's about waking up to trees and fields and water, but for many, they're happy to wake up to concrete, and it's all about choice. If I met my younger self, I would say, live the life I've lived. And the day will come when you will sell your home and continue your path back on the road. There can be no change to my past life, as any changes would mean the loss of the people, the wonderful people and places that I have visited along the way. It makes me smile to realise that I wouldn't change a single thing in my life, as it's all brought me to this point. And at my age, I'm forever grateful that I've learned about van life. And I would encourage everyone to think about it as a possibility, a choice in their journey throughout their life. There are many things that Chris said there that ring true to me. We worry about so many things, don't we? And we think that it's unique to us or unique to our generation, unique to this point in time. And it's not, is it? You know, there's always been rising costs. There's always been harsh winters, you know. People suffer with the same things living in a house as what they do living in a van. You know, people can't afford to put the heating on. People can't afford to fill their vehicles up with fuel. There's always been issues, and there will always be issues. And with choices comes consequences, comes challenges, but it is about choice, isn't it? That's the thing. It's about choice. It's about the right choice for you. What is the right choice for you? The next bit of advice I bring you is from Martin, and Martin's got a website called To Be Off Grid where it tells you all sorts of different information about living alternative lifestyles, and he'd reached out to us a while ago asking if he could link one of our vlogs onto his webpage. So then I reached out to him and said, have you got any words of wisdom for any of our viewers, because we're planning on doing this vlog? And he sent us this. When life gets talked about in extremes, it's either made out to be this perfect dream or it's ripped apart for clicks. The truth is that most people are just somewhere in the middle, getting on with it. Not everybody ends up here for the same reason. Some choose it for freedom, flexibility, a bit of space. Others sort of land here due to money, housing, relationships, or just life shifting underneath them. Most of the time, it's not one reason, it's a mixture of things. Debt, divorce, displacement, or just wanting something different out of their lives. That's the bit that most people really don't get. It kind of sits somewhere between choice and pressure. And it means different things to different people. For some, it's full time. For others, it's just weekends. Or for some people, it's just about having a place where you can go to get away when life gets a bit much. There's no rule book with it. It's just a tool, really, and it's up to you how you use it. So this next bit of advice comes from John, and John's one of our long-standing viewers, along with his lifetime partner, June. And when I emailed John, what I didn't realise was that he'd actually just gone through one of the most horrific times in his life, and he'd lost June. But he still took the time, even though this had only happened a few weeks previously, to write us this email so that I could sit here today and read it out to you and help you to make the right decisions, whether you want to be able to make a change in your life. If you're thinking of doing something, then just do it. Don't wait for the right time, because the right time's never going to come. Life is constantly changing. If you try something and it doesn't work out, well then great, it's been a success because you gave it a go. And if you had £1 million, what would you do with it? Would you still own the things that you own now? Would you still live in the same place that you live? Or would you sell everything up and travel the world and buy a camper van? I know that's easy to say if you had £1 million, but it's not actually about the money, is it? The money isn't going to bring you the happiness. It's your health that brings you the happiness. It's having time that brings you the happiness. You might not know what you want to do in your life, but you might know, like me, what you don't want to do. Sometimes that's all it takes to make a change. Do everything that you can to make your dreams come true. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't let fear stop you. Create your own little world where you can be kind to people and they can be kind to you. Get rid of the negativity in your life. Surround yourself with positivity. Everything's a state of mind. Try and stay positive even through the sad times, because it's all just a moment in time. But if you can take your moment, and you can take your moment now, then do it, because time doesn't wait for any of us. I think what John said there rings true for me and Reese, particularly at the moment. I mean, I am reminded every day that my body just doesn't play ball, and it doesn't do what I want it to do, and that often makes me think about getting the best out of life. But just recently, with the loss of a close friend of ours and what we've been through with Daisy and not knowing she was going to make it through a surgery, it often makes you kind of stop and just reevaluate if you're doing everything that you want to do with your life and if you're making the right decisions. And I think for us right now, the van brings us everything that we need it to bring us. But I appreciate that van life isn't going to be for everybody. And I appreciate that not everybody's in a position where they can make that choice. Certainly, like, maybe not right at this moment in time. But what you can do is to look at what you want out of life, and you can look at how you're going to get that, how are you going to achieve that, how are you going to kind of get that freedom to be in charge of your own life, because that's what it's all about, really. It doesn't matter if you're in a boat, if you're in an off-grid place, if you're in a van, if you're backpacking. Like I said before, it makes no difference, really. It's about having autonomy over your own life, over your own choices and the things that you want to get out of life. And it's about enjoying it, just literally enjoying life and doing what brings you happiness. And yeah, that is possible. You know, I used to sit there and think, yeah, but it's not possible to be happy all the time. It's not possible to kind of just always be doing what you want to do. And of course, no matter what you're doing, you have to earn money and you have to be able to pay bills, or, you know, your insurance on your van or whatever it is. Everybody's got commitments of some description or not that they'd rather not have, let's be honest. But it's being able to have kind of the choice of when you want to do those things and how you want to do those things. And I would say that the way that we live our life brings me happiness 99% of the time. And so for that, I am truly, truly grateful. And despite all its challenges that it brings at times, and sometimes the uncertainty that we have in front of us over where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing in the future, it still brings me more than enough, more than what I need. And I know I speak for Reese in that as well. and for Daisy. So I think what we're trying to say to you in this is to just kind of get out there and just live, you know, just however you want to do it, just get out there and live. And although there are sacrifices that you have to make in any choice in life, there is a certain amount of compromise, I suppose, as Chris would put it. There are things that you can do practically to make that transition smoother. There are things that you can do if you're wanting to transition to living in a van that you will make your life easier, things that you need to understand that will make your life easier. And I guess it's just about kind of talking to people and learning from people.
Morning. So you're stuck with me now. I've been tasked with reading out the advice from two of the biggest YouTube van lifers on the platform. So I'm going to do that in a second. I'm also going to tell you what's coming up on Romany Pirates in the next coming weeks, what the rough plan is. Emma and I are having to switch, which is why you're stuck with me, because most of you'll know our little dog Daisy, when under major spinal surgery. She underwent major spinal surgery to remove a degenerative disc in her spine. We weren't sure whether she was going to make it, and thank goodness she's pulling through and she's okay. But we're just staying with friends at the minute, just because it's cooler for Daisy, it's safer for Daisy. I don't want to be tripping up round her in the van, so our lovely friends have kindly put us up. So that's why you're stuck with me, because we're switching. So I've been tasked with like 3 things, I think, that Emma wants me to do. You know I'm gonna get something wrong, but the first one is reading out this advice. So these are actually friends of ours as well, and the first bit of advice is from Andy at our Van Tales. He's got a cute little dog called Blue, and Andy's just great. If you've not checked his channel out, guys, go check him out. He's absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so Andy says, if you arrive at a wide open park up, don't automatically go and park right next door to the only van there. Go to a van life festival to make friends with the community and for life, basically, and get out into Europe and beyond, i.e. Morocco. So Andy spends a lot of time in Morocco to really experience the freedom of the road and the welcome towards van life there. So we'll break that down just briefly, because I think Andy's given us 3 pieces of advice there that are just absolute gold. If you arrive at a park up, don't park next to the van. Like you see it a lot where vans will park directly next to each other. Like give each other a little bit of space is what Andy's saying there. Go to a van life festival if you're on your own or you want to start this life, and you're thinking to yourself, you know, it'll be lonely. Van life festivals are absolutely great for making new friends and get out into Europe. So yeah, Andy spends a lot of time in Morocco, and it's a place Emma and I have never been to do our van life. But watching his videos, it just looks like it's just so welcoming, very similar to France and Spain in terms of how welcoming it is to van life by the looks of it. And so Andy's saying, don't restrict yourself just to the UK, because van life is, we always say it on Romany Pirates, van life is easy in the UK, but it's nothing compared to Europe. Europe's just absolutely epic for it. So that's Andy from our Van Tales. Thank you, Andy. I already know Emma's going to tell me off for this, because I know I'm not as good at it as what Emma's been. Emma's just done an absolutely epic vlog, especially under the circumstances of us being worried about Daisy. She's absolutely smashed it. So I'm just not going to be as good as her, am I, on this one? But bless her heart, she's absolutely, I've chuffed her bits with what she's done. I've seen the footage and stuff at this point. So the next YouTuber is a giant of a channel, really good friends of ours, Liam and Janine, Those Happy Days. And so we asked Liam and Janine, same as Andy from our Van Tales, what their best van life advice would be. And Liam and Janine have said this. They said, I'd say the most important thing is to speak to other van lifers ASAP when entering a new country, not online but face to face. They will know more than anyone as to what you can or can't get away with. For us, it's information that supersedes anything you can find online, as laws and attitudes change quickly towards van life. Also, the law often says something is not allowed, but there's often a grey area, and other van lifers will share that with you. Absolute gold from Liam and Janine there. And what Liam and Janine are saying there basically is following on from Andy at our Van Tales, like especially when you're entering a new country where you might not know the laws, or the laws are changing, or you know, you might have read online that the laws are a certain thing around van life. pull up, try and find other van lifers, like ask them, how's your recent park ups been? Have you found any good park ups? Like how are the locals reacted? Like get their first-hand experience of what Liam and Janine are saying there. You've arrived at a new country, you don't know the ins and outs of it from the actual road itself. And so Liam and Janine are there giving us a really, really good piece of advice of go and ask. And that's definitely something that we'll be doing on our kind of travels, is definitely asking people more, like how have the park ups been? Has anybody been? Have you been moved on? All those kind of questions, and just kind of get a lay of the land basically. But yeah, definitely check out our van sales and those happy days. They're all just absolutely epic, and thank you so much guys for sharing that absolute gold epic bit of knowledge with us all, including me and Emma. So yeah, what happens on Romany Pirates next? So because of Daisy's recovery, we haven't been able to go to Ireland. So we're supposed to be in Ireland right now. We're supposed to be spending a considerable amount of time in Ireland. Obviously, we haven't been able to do that. And so it's all about Daisy at the minute. It's all about her recovery. And then we're going to be doing a few countries, but we're going to be doing them very differently. So that's kind of coming up. And what we're going to do is we're really kind of going to give you guys videos like this, where we're just going to pour our heart into giving you guys the best advice we possibly can on van life and nomadic living, and basically traveling and living on the road. We're going to do a lot of videos kind of that'll be really, really helpful to you guys that are either already out on the road, or that you're just starting up on your kind of new journey of being on the road, or maybe you're thinking about it and you're not quite sure yet. All those kinds of things. As Emma said earlier in the video, in the vlog, we have got some, I use that word all the time, a game changer, but I don't know what else to call it when something's so big when it comes to van life. But we've got a few things that we want to share with you that will genuinely change how easy it is to live in Romany. Like, it will make our lives easier, and so we want to share those things with you. Emma's tasked me with like 3 things, and you would forget one. She said, don't forget to stick your 2p in. So my advice as always will be, if you've got a dream, if you want to do something in life, go do it. We only get one chance at life, we get one shot at life, as far as any of us know. And so yeah, if you are thinking about doing this and you're thinking, yeah, this life is definitely for me, maybe you've watched a few of our other videos, or maybe you've watched other van lifers and you're at that point where you're thinking, yeah, this is a bit of me, this. Don't wait. I'd hate for anybody to kind of get 10 years down the line and still be saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'll do it next year. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Obviously plan, decide, all those kinds of things that we've kind of talked about in other videos. But if you've got a dream and you want to do it, don't let life pass you by, is my advice for travelling in a van, life on the road, nomadic lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. Is just do it. Because for me personally, and I can only share my personal thoughts, can't I, as I always say, van life is epic, and it gives you a perspective on life that no other way of living gives you. And by that I mean nomadic living. It can be a boat, it can be like Nomad Sam out in his tent in the woods, bless him, he's absolutely epic. It can be buying land, in Portugal, Spain, France, whatever it is. I think Emma touched on it earlier, and I agree with her, because obviously me and Emma do have very similar views on it. And it's about living life on your own terms. A friend once said to me, who owns you? Who owns you? And that's something to think about, is who owns me right now? Like, who am I answering to? And that's what I always have in my head. And there's no better feeling than that feeling of freedom for me personally. And so yeah, my advice is don't wait. If you've decided you want to do it and it's for you, I would say go for it. And there's nothing better than the open road. If you've liked this video and you've enjoyed it, give us a like, give us a hype. And if you want to join our fantastic epic little community here, well, let me tell you, we have got some of the best subscribers, we've got some of the best viewers we could ever wish for. You guys have been so supportive with us throughout this whole thing with Daisy, and yeah, it's you don't know how much that means to us, so thank you. And you know, if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to join our little community here and you want to join us on a Tuesday and a Friday, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and it will alert you when we put a video out, because obviously, as you've seen with Daisy, things have been not quite the pattern we would normally put videos out in. So yeah, I think that's it. Otherwise, I'm just going to start rambling on, aren't I? But yeah, if you want to watch another video, we've got one called What We Learned in 13 Years We'll Share in 30 Minutes, which is a video similar to this, but with different kind of advice in it to what this one's been. So yeah, hope you enjoy that video if you haven't already seen it. And again, this is what I mean, rambling. I'm going to go get a custard cream now and a cup of tea, because I'm rambling away to camera. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and as always, keep writing your own story and go live the dream.